So, Chelsea, we met. I don't know when we met, but it was at some event.
I think the first time was maybe Nashville, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Nashville. Yeah. I'm like,
no, it was green carpet. It was green carpet.
oh, green carpet.
Mm.
Oh, and then at Pam's after party?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. But we got to meet and it's been so fun to see her. She promoted to Presidential Diamond, and that was so awesome. And I know she's one of the top income earners right now, and they just have a lot of incredible things going on with their team, and it's just so exciting to get to watch that. I love watching people that are just going for it, and I'm excited because I don't really know your story. So tonight I wanted to see if you would share your story, and then maybe we'll get into like how you built and things like that. But first, will you just kind of share with everybody your story?
Yes, and Bo's sitting here. He might have a comment here or there. So it's kind of a long story. I'll try to do that.
John's here, but told me I wasn't allowed to put him on camera. He goes, yeah, I'm like, hey.
So my enroller is Caitlin Gallagher. She just recently promoted to ambassador, and I was best friends with her cousin all through high school. And we were in the same sorting college, lost touch, but we got pregnant around the same time, and she started a mom Bible study. So I went to that, and everyone in the group slowly started joining her team, every person in the Bible study. And I was the last one to hold out, but I kept seeing her earn these huge bonuses, and we weren't like hurting financially, but he was definitely mad at me for my spending. And I thought, well, I mean, this would be a great way to, make extra income to make him not complain as much. And honestly, I was the first of all of our friends to have a baby. And I didn't realize that I needed the friendships even more than I needed the financial blessings. So that was so cool to get that out of the business. And I went really, really slow. So I joined April 30th of 2014. And he literally kept saying, no, you're not doing it. Like, you're not doing it. And I woke him up in the middle of the night when he was asleep one night. And I was like, I have like 30 minutes to sign up to be eligible for a $10,000 bonus. Like, I think I can do it. And he was like, okay, just let me go back to sleep. Mm-hmm. And the next morning he was like, you better not lose money. And like, that's all you have to do. So I was like, okay, I won't lose money. And I got my kid in, and I think it was like May 20 something. Somebody asked me to host a party for them for It Works. And I was like, actually, I'm a distributor. I just haven't told anyone. And the very last day of my 30 days, I scurried and called some family members to get my 4 loyal customers. And I was actually, the reason I finally joined is because I had tried the wraps. And I gained 90 pounds with my pregnancy with Carter. 90, yes. So I almost doubled my body size. And I was in a wedding, and I was like, I just ordered my normal size. Well, that was a funny joke. And so I decided to try the wraps because I had nothing else to lose, and there was nothing short of a miracle that was going to make this dress sit. And I did 4. I did not drink the water. I did not take before and after pictures. And I looked in the mirror, and I was like, well, that did not make me a size 0, so I guess it didn't work. But I tried that dress on, and it zipped. So if I had not known that dress was so tight, I would have never thought I got results. Like, I would have had no way of knowing. But when I saw the difference, and when Bo saw the difference, because he tried to help me get in there, it was like stuffed sausage. I mean, it was awful. And then it zipped. We were like, this stuff works. So I told a few of my friends, and they became customers of Caitlin's. 2 of my best friends are still her customers to this day. And I'm like, can you switch over, please? But anyways, I finally decided, I could be making those commissions myself. And she told me that, and that's what made me become a distributor. But I was bound and determined I was not going to advertise a product I hadn't tried yet, which was kind of hard for me to do because about a month after I joined, I found out I was pregnant again. So I used that to my advantage, and I told people, I want to make sure these products work. Will you please try this for me so I can have someone that I know and personally love have a product testimony that I trust? Yeah. And that helped me get a lot of my first customers for the products that I couldn't use while pregnant. And I slowly but surely kept getting amazing results back from my family. And I was like, okay, I can market hair, skin, and nails. He had a bald spot. It grew in like a chia pet. And I mean, that before and after picture was like one of the best things that got me tons of customers because it was someone they actually knew. They saw the results, and we posted it the day he started. We're like, hey, we're trying this. We'll let you know what happens. So we posted the before picture. 30 days later, we posted it after, and people could not believe it. But they had seen the before I even put them side by side. So having those personal testimonies was so huge for us. For me, the greens, like I said, gained 90 pounds with my son. With my daughter, I only gained 25, and I, to this day, swear greens had a huge part in that. So just using the products that I could use and getting people I love to use the products I couldn't, it made a huge difference for me. And when I kept getting results back from people that I trusted telling me that this was changing their life, it made me love it even more and believe it anymore and get more excited. So I did not post on social media a lot at first at all. I was like a sneaky ninja. I was like trying to like message people I didn't know on Instagram. It was not going well. I was just trying all different things before I finally realized just do what everyone else is doing that's successful, and that might work. So I finally got out of my comfort zone and started being consistent on social media, and I was floored at the people that would message me, like that I would never have expected ever. So 5 months in the business, I told my husband I was going to sign up and get that $10,000 bonus. So I had until July to do that. On July 31st, I had a few customers and no distributors. So needless to say, I did not get the bonus, but I kept going. And Susan Wade is my enroller's enroller. So she's my upline. And she was coming to town from Nashville, and we had a party at Caitlin's house for current distributors where we wrote down our fears and our dreams. And we went around the room and told what rank we were and how long we'd been in the business. And my biggest fear was what people thought of me, because I had grown up in a family that, people know, and, people thought we had just got a new house. It was bigger than we could afford. And I didn't want people to think we needed money or anything like that. I was just worried about what people would say. And I wrote that down, and then we went around the room and told our ranks and how long we'd been in the business. And I had been in the business for 5 months and was still a distributor. And there were people in the room that had been in for like 2 weeks that were Ruby. And I'm like, what? And then I'm embarrassed for the It Works people. And so I finally took a step back and I said, you know what? I cannot please everyone. But if I'm worried about pleasing everyone else, I'm going to not change my life. I'm not going to change the life of others. And I'm going to stay exactly where I am. And I'm not happy here. But I can try to make these It Works people proud, and I can change my life and a whole lot of other lives. So maybe I should get it out of my own head and stop worrying about others' opinions and start pleasing, the Lord and no one else. And that's what I had to really realize, that I was not being obedient to him, because I do feel like he laid this on my heart. And so anyways, I decided in that day that I was going to start working my business for real. And even though in my head I had been working all along, but I wasn't really. I knew there was a lot more I could have done. So she says, we're going to have a potential party tomorrow night, and we're having it at your house. Well, I have no potentials. And I'm like, I have no one to invite to this party. This is so embarrassing. So I got on the phone and I called everybody, and I was like, please come to my house tonight. I will feed you, bring friends, just do whatever you have to do. Get over here. Like, I will pay you back. I promise. I just need people here. And that night we had several people come. I signed 4 distributors that night. Wow. They had brought some friends, so they signed a few more. We posted about how much fun we had. We posted all night long. The next day, 3 people that couldn't come joined. So for 5 months, I had signed nobody. And between September 30th and October 1st, I went from having no one on my team to being like 3 away from Emerald in 2 days. And it all was because I changed my mind about it. I decided I was going to actually do it. I got on the phone and called people. I had a party. I actually did the things that I should have been doing all along, and I started getting results. So we started running. I mean, I was surprised. I was so surprised the first people that joined me, because I figured it would be my lifelong best friends, and it wasn't. I figured my family would support me from the beginning, and they didn't. But it's okay, because God had other people that he wanted on my team that we have run with that have become my best friends, and they are amazing leaders. And so he knew the perfect people on my team even before I knew that. So we went Ruby in October. We went Emerald in November and Diamond in December. I promoted on New Year's Eve. We were at what was it? The Peach Bowl in Atlanta. And I had gone to the bowl game, and I was like, I got to get back to the hotel room because I've got to sign up all these people. And I didn't know anything about promoting, but I was like, I am not spending $1. I'm going to get every single one of these with customer orders. And I was like signing rap BOGO like it was my job, like, because it was my job. And it was so fun. So then he finally joined in January after I went diamond, and he got the Ruby bonus that month. The next month, I had my daughter in February, and I went double diamond. He went diamond in March, and then I went triple in May. So 6 months in the business, had no distributors. 6 months later, we were triple diamonds. It was absolutely insane, and it was so fun. It was like we just were running. We just were working all the time, and it was just a blast. But then I sat at triple diamond for about 2 years almost. And last year, we went to the Atlanta, what was it called? It was like it wasn't a boot camp, but it was like a something. And I will never forget, there was a VIP night, which I was so excited to be at with triple and above. And Mar got up there and started talking about Sherry Lynn, and I had never met her. And I will, like, this changed my business. I'm not kidding. And he was like saying when she joined, and he was like, you know, some of you guys think that there's seasons in this business, and you just think that this fall can't be good. And I had promoted in the fall, so I knew it could be great, but I had started believing those things people said, where it's a slow season, and I realized that I wasn't working my business the way I should have. But he said, well, Sherry Lynn's having an awesome year, and her team's on fire, and she just jumped into top 10. And I realized, okay, she has been in less than me. She is promoting. She is booming. Like, she's in a state where there is like tons of ambassadors already, and she's promoted to ambassador, and there's no ambassadors in Mississippi. I'm going to be the first. Y'all just wait and see. But I was like, I don't have an excuse. Like, I have no excuses. I've got to get it together. And so my team, I sent them a 10-minute voice note when I left there, and I was like, we're doing this, you know, and we got pumped up. And you would think I could say, like, our volume boomed through the winter, but it didn't. It kept going down. But we were preparing, like, for the spring. We just kept working and working and working. And December rolls around. I have signed one distributor in 3 months last year. October, November, December, I signed one distributor. I usually am about 10 or more a month. So lowest enrollments ever, lowest volume I'd have in years. It was not my best month for sure, but I knew what was coming, and I knew that all of the work we had done, it was about to boom. Yeah. So, that was the lowest volume I had in a long time. And we decided that was going to be the last time it was ever that low, but I still was maintaining triple, but by the skin of my teeth. So Bo had promoted to double that year. So he did promote to double in 2016, yes. So January rolls around, I signed 17. I signed 1 in 3 months, I signed 17. 2 went diamond in 3 months. 1 went double in 4. You know.
Let me pause you for 1 sec, Chelsea. What would you say, no, because I love this. What do you think it was that caused you 3 months, 1 distributor? So there might be people on here right now, October, November, December, maybe they've only signed 1. Maybe they've signed none. But you had signed none, and then January comes and 17 distributors. What changed? Was it like a mindset? Was it just those seeds grow? Like, what? I mean, something changed. There was a shift.
Yeah. I was actually working those months, and I was making tons of contact, and I was adding tons of people to my list. Okay. And I think for my personal potentials, what it was is that the timing wasn't right for them when I asked the first time. Yeah. But when January came around, either they were looking for financial goals or health goals, and it was the right time. But it was because every single one of the 17 were people I had asked from October to December. Okay. All of them.
So it was like those seeds grew. And so that's encouraging if you're on here going, I'm doing it. I'm messaging, you know, I'm doing my 6 list. I'm reaching out to people, but no one's joining. Like, that's right there shows you that those seeds do, you know, they do grow, they do, you know, sprout, yeah. We'll reap a harvest, you know, I love that.
And in my head, like, I think so much of it, I'm all about personal development and like positive thinking and praying over business. And I think honestly, I had started during that time of October, December, I had started thinking that there was no one else left. I talked to everyone. I mean, there's no potentials in the world. And I think in my head, honestly, a lot of it switched into December. I'm like, no, there is still people out there that need this business. There is still people that this business can change their life. There is still people that haven't joined my team yet that are going to be amazing at this. And then they did all join in January. So a lot of it's just like truly believing that you have not reached as many people as you're going to reach at, you know? This is my favorite book right now. I have it just like, have you read this? It is so good.
I haven't read it.
It is so good. So Mark Batterson's the same person that wrote Chase the Lion, which corporate did a few months ago. But it's a 40-day prayer challenge, and it's really short. It's like 4 pages a day for 40 days. But one of the things recently was about planting seeds. And it had this amazing analogy because I always talk about planting seeds and how they will be harvested. But it talks about how the same seed that makes the tomato plant is the size of the seed that grows a sequoia. And you just never know when your seed is going to be the one that grows that huge tree. And like in reference to our charts, like one of the girls I signed last January when I was thinking there was no one left to sign, she brought in like 75,000 GV in volume in 6 months. Like one girl did, with no one being placed under her ever, her alone. So like you never know how big those seeds are going to grow to. It's not just planting seeds and harvesting them. It's like sometimes these seeds are so much bigger than you could ever dream. It's not just, and I had never thought of it that way. I was like, oh my goodness, like you don't realize what these seeds really can grow to when you're planting them. It's just so important that you plant the seeds and like continue to harvest them and then wait on God's timing for them to, truly grow to fruition or whatever. So anyways, I forgot what I was saying about this.
So January came, 17.
Oh yeah. Yes. Sorry. So we went to conference, which is so important. I feel like every pivotal moment of my business has come from an event, whether it was when Susan Wade made me have that party or when I went to that meeting and heard him talk about you. But conference came and we were so excited. And I think so many times we look up on stage and everyone is so pretty and they have their cute little outfits and you hear their stories, but they almost don't seem like they were real people. Yeah. And when you kind of meet some of them, you're like, you start to realize you can do it, especially when you're face to face and you just know like they just have worked harder than I have. That's it. That's the only difference is that I can do it too if I just work harder. And I think all of my leaders got that at that event and they just decided we're all going to do it together. And we stood up at the top and we prayed together of our businesses and we just decided to run. And so Bo went triple diamond at the end of that month and that was February. And then in March I went presidential and then in May he went presidential. So I sat at triple for 2 years and Bo goes from double to presidential in 3 months. I'm like, well, this is interesting. But it just shows like it's all just different timing and you cannot compare yourself because I don't ever say I'm a better leader than anyone, but I'm confident in saying I'm a better leader than Bo. Just kidding. But just because I work a little harder at it. But he's a good speaker and everything. He's just not. He doesn't talk to the team as much as I do. But so I have learned to not compare because you never know what someone else's journey looks like and why their path looks different than yours. And it's just so important to focus on your business alone because there's just so many different factors that play into it that really don't matter towards you at all. So we earned $250,000 in bonuses in 3 months this year, which was absolutely insane. And now we're trying to go ambassador and we just are so thankful for this company and it has changed our lives in so many ways and we're just so proud to be part of it.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I have some people asking me, Chelsie, what's the circle that you draw? Is it draw the circle? What's the
draw book? The circle? Yes, draw the circle. And I just got it for a bunch of my leaders for Christmas. They don't know yet. Don't tell them.
Okay.
And it is just like so good. It's so short each day, but it's just so encouraging because so much of it relates to this business. Like every day, I started sending them screenshots every single day, and I'm like, I know you're sick of this book, so I'm just going to buy it for you because I couldn't get enough of it. I was underlining like crazy. It's just so cool. It relates to our business so much.
Okay, yay. I love that. I'm like, John, order me that. Okay. I just read the magic of thinking big and that I was on audio and that like rocked me. I was like sending it to the diamonds like, y'all better be listening to this too. But I love that. Okay, so I love your story. I love that. I feel like there's so many interesting parts where you join, you do nothing for 6 months. Because I know for me, if I sign somebody and they literally do nothing for like the first month, 2-3 months, I'm kind of like, I almost give up on them.
Yeah.
So Caitlin's been on our Tip from the Top before. What was she staying in contact with you? Was she checking in on you? Or did she kind of let you go and then you reached out to her? Like, what was going on with that? I'm just curious during that.
So we were friends. Like we would hang out and because we live locally to each other. We live about 45 minutes away from each other. But we would see each other on play dates and stuff. And she was hard on me. I appreciate it now though. But like I would ask her a question and she'd be like, call customer service. So she was a triple when I joined. And she has told me like, I thought you were going to be terrible. So she put me in a 400 box under someone else. And she was like, I just didn't really think you were going to do much of the business. Like, you were bound to be a 400 box. And I was, after she kind of told me that, it lit my fire even more. I was like, well, I'm going to prove her wrong. And so when she went presidential, I was the triple on her chart. So when she went triple, I was a 400 box. And then when she went presidential, she used me as her triple. So I was like, yeah, see, I went from being a 400 box to your biggest leg. That's what you get for telling me I was going to suck.
So was she like, what was she doing to like?
She kind of let me just come to her, and she never placed anyone under me, a loyal or a distributor. I've never had anyone place under me. And there was times I really wanted her to, but now I look back and I'm glad that she didn't. It motivated me more, and it made me realize like that I was going to have to work for this myself if I wanted to do it. Like, it was my responsibility. And with my chart, there's been a lot of times where I felt like I was the only person working. I'm sure it's not true, but I felt that way. And I just look at that chart, and if there is a spot to feel like I have made it my personal mission that that's my responsibility only, so that I never get frustrated with someone for not working their business. If I want to promote, then it's on me, and I'm going to be the one that's going to take care of it. Like, I'm not going to ever put that on anyone else's shoulders.
Okay.
So
yeah. So that, okay. So you were in contact, you guys talked because she was
not about
a friend, but it wasn't like, mm-hmm. So I guess that's a little bit different. Okay. So then next you signed No, and you were like, well, maybe I'll try Instagram. So would you say you were basically scared of your warm market?
Yes, I was terrified of my warm market. That's what I was the most scared of.
In your head, it was like, I'll try to do a cold market. Mm-hmm. I'd rather do that to strangers, but not my warm market.
Yes. And when I realized one day, though, I had one of my first distributors that signed was a girl that I knew in high school, but we weren't really good friends. We went to different schools, but we were friends on Facebook. And she had been a missionary in Africa for 2 years, and she had just come back. Her husband was a teacher, and she was like, I need $300 a month to make it. And this girl, she was Pinterest before Pinterest was cool. She's beautiful. Like, I seriously would have never thought she'd be interested, never thought she needed the money. But when she joined, she was one of my very first distributors that night. I realized, okay, there's people out there that need this that I know and I care about, and I'm selfish to keep it to myself. Like, that's when it changes, when I had someone reach out to me that I actually knew and realized, okay, so there might be some people that I know that scare me, that might make fun of me, that might not want this or might not understand, but I care more about the ones that do need this and helping them. And I love helping people I don't know too, but it's really amazing when you know somebody and care about them personally, and you get to introduce them to something that changes their life like this. So I just decided I was going to have to care about those more than the haters.
I love that. Okay, so then 6 months nothing, then the next 6 months you're like triple. So now let's talk, like, what did you do to grow your business? So, like, I know obviously the first wrap party you were almost built for Emerald, so there was a wrap party there. But then what? Like, were you hosting wrap parties often? Were you reaching out and messaging, meeting up with people? What were you doing?
So I was pretty pregnant at this point. So I did have a few wrap parties. I kind of did some launch parties. I never had a launch party. I really regret that, by the way. Wish I would have. I think I would have started off a lot quicker if I had one. So I did a few launch parties for people. I did a few vendor events. I did a wrap party 2 days before I had Kessler, like literally that weekend. But mainly it was social media. I was like because Carter was 6 months old when I joined. So he was a baby, then I was pregnant. So I did a lot of it from my phone, but I was reaching out to anyone and everyone. I was very, very consistent with posting. From the day I decided to do it, I don't think I've ever missed a day of posting about it work since that day 3 years ago. I was reaching out to anyone and everyone that showed interest. And I never have been a cold messenger, but I've always been a warm messenger. So if they were showing interest, I was definitely reaching out to them. And then I did reach out to a few of my dream team without them showing interest, and basically just said, okay, I've been doing something that I think you'd be amazing at. I really honestly do not want to like annoy you at all, but I think if you can just give me 5 minutes, you would really like to hear what I have to say. Is there any way I could set up a phone call with you or a FaceTime, or we could go to lunch? And a few of those people joined that way that had never shown any interest. And I was all about growing my network even from the beginning. So but I would do it in a way that I had connections. It wasn't just random. So like one of my best friends, that's a loyal customer that I knew was not going to do the business with me. She told me she wasn't, that made fun of me in the beginning, but she has since apologized. I went through her followers because she went to a different college than me. So her friends from college, I would friend them. I friended a lot of Bo's hometown people, and that grew one of my biggest legs. Now it's a triple diamond leg from someone in his hometown joining. I mean, I did things that I found common interest, so that it wasn't just completely random, that I had a reason to follow them, I guess you could say. Yeah. So they kind of already had some kind of connection, so it was easier to build that relationship. And so I'm constantly growing my network all the time, and I just have different ways to do that now. I try to do, I love kids' clothes. So like, for instance, an example would be like Matilda Jane clothing, being in a Matilda Jane group. And if there's someone I buy an outfit from, or they buy from me, I will friend them. When I sell clothes, I send out an information packet about it works with the clothes I send. I just do certain stuff like that. So anything I'm doing, I'm trying to find a way to grow my business while I'm doing it, basically.
Yeah, I love that. And so when you're adding and following, are you doing both Instagram and Facebook? Do you just kind of do both?
Yes, I'm maxed out on Facebook friends again, which I need to go through and clear out. That's one of my missions this break that I haven't done yet. But with Instagram, I'm constantly doing Instagram, and I use Cleaner for that, and Captivate. And I just discovered Captivate recently. I had no idea about it. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, we love. I know. I think I'm trying to remember who we learned about it from. We learned about it from someone, and have been I
game changer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and so then tell us this. I know everyone's day looks different, but like, what's kind of like your ideal day, or what's like those income producing things that you're like, okay, so this is like what a day looks like for me, or maybe it's what a day looked like for you when you were going from, distributor to triple. Like, what's a day of you working the business look like?
So I actually worked full-time from home for my family business until I went presidential. Okay. So it was actually very difficult because it's a 40-hour-week job, but I'm doing it from home with my kids. And I'm also trying to get It Works in there. And I mainly worked when the kids were asleep. So that was a nightmare. I didn't get a lot of sleep during that time. When they went down for a nap, automatically working. When they went to bed at night, working until they woke up in the morning. I just felt like I was a zombie. But I did finally quit when I went presidential, which was a huge, huge blessing. But I always post. That's a non-negotiable. So if I don't have time that day to follow up with the likes and stuff, I will just sit down one day and make sure I do the whole week's worth. But making those contacts, doing follow-ups, I try to get as many people on the phone as possible, because I feel like I just have a higher success rate when I do that. And so setting appointment times to get on the phone, and setting alarms, like setting reminders on Facebook chat if they do that. That's a huge help so that they remember as well. Now I am doing parties again. I had gone through a phase where I hadn't done many at all, but my aunt actually joined. She's in her 40s, late 40s, and she has not used social media one single bit. She joined about a month ago. She has personal 7 distributors just from parties. Wow. And we're having so much fun. And so basically we had a party at her house. There was like 3 people there. They all joined, and she's like, "Hey, we're going to have a party at your house next week." So then the next week we'd go to that person's house, and she's like, "Hey, we're going to have it this person next week." So we're just partying, and it's just like a chain reaction. And when she gets going, I'm going to really start reaching out to some local people that I know that haven't had parties or never done the business, and start asking them to host parties for me again, because I can send out 100 messages, but I might get 10 interested. But I feel like when I'm at a party, and our sign rate is so high that it's really, really worth the time investment, especially when you don't have a lot of extra time. Yes. So I just printed my friends list. I'm about to go through that. I don't know if you saw that Zoom Rachel Jones did, where she goes through and she'll either like delete the people that, are not ever going to be in the business, or, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then she'll highlight customers, distributors, follow up with the potentials. And then if they're neither, she'll ask them to host a post for her. I'm about to start doing that. I have not been doing that, but that's on my to-do list of things to do. And then I always do self-development every single day, whether it be like when I'm getting ready, listening to an audio, or in the car, or taking the time to, read if I have that time, but doing something that makes me like mentally focused on positive reinforcement for the business. I'm all about that. You have anything else here? I'm asking Bo if he has any input. He's like, no.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that's really cool that you you joined, you were working full time, and still went and had 2 small children, and still went all the way to presidential, because I think sometimes people think takes morning to night. or maybe, you know, they're at home and they find themselves where they think they're working morning to night, but half the time it's like scrolling or doing things, you know, where it's like, if you really are disciplined and you do your income producing things, like you can do this business. Like, I truly think I went diamond working at 1 hour a day, you know, like that was the time where it was messaging people, you know, friending new people, following new people, you know, getting posts ready. And so I love that. I love that. Okay. So what about, is there anything, and you kind of shared some, but anything that you're like, man, I wish I would have known this at the beginning. You know, that
I wish I would have had parties in the beginning for sure. 100%. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have reached out to my dream team sooner. I feel like she's a little sick. So she has a fever. That's why I look like this today. So I wish that I would have like told people how excited I was. I feel like in the beginning, I waited for people to come to me. I did not go to people. And I think that if in the beginning I had been excited and gone to them, they would have all joined me. But by me waiting and waiting, they feel like I didn't want them on my team. My first cousin joined someone else recently, like my very first cousin, and I was like, what in the world? Why did you not join me? And she said, well, they asked me and you didn't. And I was like, you know, just not assuming that everyone thinks that you're going to come, that you would come to them if you wanted them. I think she thought like I didn't want her on my team because I didn't ask. And so not being scared, not being afraid of asking is like huge now. And I really regret that. I was like, people learn from my mistakes. I can't believe this. And I wish that I had been like so excited to the people closest to me from the get-go and not being scared of my warm market. And realizing like when you have momentum to run full force, like don't slow down. Because there was like times where I was like, I just want to break. I just want to watch TV. And now I realize like watching TV is not worth it. I wish I would not have done that. So really just use time management wisely. Just like you said, I was a scroller and I would like post, and that is not income producing. And realizing that income producing activities, very consistent, disciplined times of doing income producing activities is so much smarter than wasting tons of time just scrolling that doesn't really do anything for your business. So just being smarter and not having to work harder.
I love that. So if you're sending a message to someone, Chelsea, give us like a sample. And I know, you know, it's probably always different, but like what's like a message if you're like, okay, this person, they'd be so great at this business. Like what's something you would send?
So if it's someone I don't know, this is like one of my go-to messages. A lot of the people I find, I look for clothing brands that my kids wear and that their kids wear. Yeah. So I'll like call the brand out. So I'll say, oh my goodness, that Matilda Jane is so cute. I love that release. She looks so precious. You know what I've realized is that moms with great taste do so great in this business at what I do. I think you'd be awesome at it. Would there be a good time for me to be able to tell you a little bit more? Or something along those lines. Yeah. And so like just bring up what we have in common, give them a compliment, and then try to set up a time to tell them more. And like, I don't go into like, I do it works or whatever. I just been very, very simple and then wait for them to, you know, answer back to continue the conversation. If it's someone I know well, I'll say, okay, you watched me do this for 3.5 years. I've been terrified to message you, but I cannot get you off my mind. I think that we really need to have a conversation. And if you can just give me 5 minutes, I think, you know, I can seriously change your life. You're going to want to listen to me or something like that, you know? And I've just gotten really confident when I message people because I do love the products. I love the company. I love corporate. I love what this has done for us. I love the opportunity. And so I do want people to know about it. And I'm very proud to tell people about it now. Whereas before I was like timid and insecure and wondering what they were going to say. Whereas now I'm like, they need this. Like I am being selfish if I don't tell them. Like I have got to be excited about it because this could change their life. This could be the person that their life has changed.
And then when you do that, then for you, do you get them on the phone if they're like, sure, I'd love, okay, so then you do a phone.
Yes. I try to do as much phone as I can. I just missed a call from someone a little bit ago that had been trying to call for like weeks, and she finally called me back. She's like, sorry. But when I am on the phone, my sign rate's a lot higher. Okay. So if I can't get them on the phone, I try to do voice memos so they realize that I'm a real person. You know, a lot of times, if it's someone I know, I'm fine with texting them because they know me. But if it's someone I don't know well, I want them to like hear my personality, hear my excitement, realize that I'm like just normal and a person. And I think sometimes when they don't know you well, they don't think that. They assume that you're like a robot or something. And so having that personal connection and bonding over things and building a relationship. So even if they don't join, you can follow up with them about things that aren't in the business. Like that's a huge step of something I do. Like follow up Fridays. A lot of times when I follow up, I won't even bring up the business. I'll be like, okay, I saw your son was sick. How's he feeling? So I'll go through and I'll make contact, but I don't even bring up the business. And because of that, building a relationship and checking up with them about other things over time, they feel comfortable with me, like being able to come to me when they are ready, And so I don't think it's always like, have you heard about this special? Like, did you see this promotion? Because it is more than a business. And then when you have that relationship, they tend to stay on as a part of the team longer too.
I love that. So follow up Fridays, just connecting with people, business.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you get them on the phone, do you have certain points someone's asking that you cover, or do you just kind of share about what it's done for you? Or
I try to ask as many questions to them as possible before I go into my story. I want to hear what their story is. Because I read the book, The 4 Color Personalities in Network Marketing, I think is what it's called. But it talked about how, like, if you're talking to someone that's a yellow personality, they're not going to care all about the money. They're going to care more about how they can change lives. And if you're talking to someone that is a red, they're going to be more driven by what this business can do for them, and so if you're not speaking their language, they're not really going to care what you're having to say. So the more I can learn about them, because this business has so many different things that it does for us. It gives us friendships. It gives us financial freedom. It gives us so many different things. But if I know what they're looking for, I can focus on that area of what it's done for me and appeal to like what they're truly looking for to let them know it's a good match. So I try to ask them questions. How much time a day do they have? What do they want to do with this business? How much money do they want to make? What do they want to use the money for? Like, what's their why? And if I can learn that about them, then I can tell them the parts of my story that, relate to what they're looking for.
I love that. Okay, I love that. So you asked them first. Okay, last thing. So what would you say to like the people that are on, like what's something, I know we're going into the holidays, things like a week till Christmas, and then, after that we've got the end of December to New Year's. What would you say to someone is some stuff they can be doing to like still work their business in the midst of the holidays, still maybe, maybe a tip of what they could do, and if there's any leaders on here, what's something they could do to help their team continue to,
Yes. Okay. So I think it's so important to be really, really thoughtful about your posts this time of year. For me, like I've been so busy like with family Christmases and holidays that I'm tempted to just like copy and paste someone else's status. I mean, I do it sometimes. I try not to, but sometimes I do. Just to really go and I'll save it. And, just do something that is a good post, but not really put a lot of time and effort into it. And this time of year, especially when people are struggling with paying for bills, when they are looking for something more, when they're starting to think about their New Year's resolutions and how 2018 is going to be different, to be really, really personal and vulnerable. Like, tell them what it was like when you couldn't afford Christmas and now you can, or how maybe you can't afford Christmas the way you want to this year, but next year it's going to be different, and how next year you want to help bless others, or whatever it is. Like being vulnerable and personal, I can't say that word, vulnerable, and personal, that is what people are going to be attracted to, and they're going to realize, okay, they're being open and honest with me, I can be open and honest with them. And I think it's so important this time of year especially to really, really dig deep and like find those feelings and make those really personal posts to you. And that attracts people more than, those copy and pasted statuses that look pretty with lots of emojis. So doing that the time of year and really relating to the holiday season. And then just starting to get ready, putting your goals out there for 2018, claiming your successes and doing all those things. And then also messaging those people that that you're close with, especially that you think may be interested, your friends, and saying, hey, I'm about to gear up for a huge 2018, and I was just thinking about the people I care about most that I wish would do it with me. Do you think that now would be a good time for you to consider it? I would love to tell you more, or something like that, like messaging these people and letting them know 2018 is about to be huge and you want them a part of it. Like they're going to be one of the first people that you ask about it because you care about them most and you see greatness in them, or you want to do it with them, or whatever it is. And like reaching out to those people and getting them signed up before that $10,000 eligibility runs up at the end of the year. And I actually made a list. This is my list right here of things that I'm doing as like a leader to prepare. I'm doing Instagram stories. I just learned about those. I'm obsessed with those. So using those poll options, that's been huge for me. Getting those, I couldn't figure out how to find the results. I finally figured it out. So now that I know how to read the results of those polls, reaching out to those people, that's created a whole new market, and talking about, the new year. What's your goal for the new year? What would it look like if you made $2,000 extra a month next year? Stuff like that. And doing live videos, talking about Christmas, talking about New Year's, the resolutions, holidays, all that kind of stuff. And sharing other leaders' success stories right now. If you don't have any of your own, that's huge. It's a great time to try new products. Go ahead and say, this is a product I haven't tried before. If it's a product you can do before and afters with, go ahead and post your before results, like before you even get after. It'll motivate you to get an after picture, I promise you. Having parties, in this time of year is such a good time to have a party after Christmas. I'm trying to schedule one for right before New Year's to get ready for everyone to have their products by the time January 1st rolls around. Doing daily affirmations, setting goals, asking friends to host parties, and going through your list of distributors that have signed up but quit. I've had so many recently that signed during the $9.99 promotion that have come back and said, it wasn't a good time for me then, but it is now. Let's do it. And so making sure they know, this is about to be our season where it is the busiest season. So even if you didn't get the start you wanted, you can start now, and you will have so much, return on your work this time of year. And doing self-development and just writing out, actually writing down my goals and my dreams, because when I write them down, it motivates me to work harder towards them. I have a goal this year. I want to pay off a huge sum of money on our house. And so when I think about that goal, when I sit down to take a nap, I'm like, do I really want to take a nap, or do I want to do something that makes me a step closer to my goals? It makes me have those options where I can compare to what's worth it, and getting close and trying to actually do activities that get me closer to my goals. And so writing them down and putting where I can see them and having that constant reminder makes me work harder.
I love that. Yay. Oh, thank you, Chelsie. I have so many just good nuggets, and
I'm so glad.
I've never heard it so just here, and I think that's just so inspiring for people listening. If you got a slow start, doesn't mean you can't, jump in right now, or maybe you have someone in your team like that. You can still rock it and roll it, and oh my goodness, both you and your husband presidential, that's huge. We're excited to watch you and cheer you on as you go ambassador this year.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. And I think the biggest thing, honestly, is not just praying over your business, but praying over your current team and your future team. And when you care more about their goals than your own, on my dream board this year and on my goal list, I'm going to have my team's goals as well. And so I can pray over their goals. And when you make it not just about you, it makes it more fun. And it just, I don't know what it is, but it makes you realize so much about yourself and about those people. And it makes you realize it's so much bigger than, you could ever have dreamed of. And then it makes you want to have those potentials signed so you can help them do that too. So I was going to definitely say that makes a huge difference for me personally.
Yeah, keeping it. I know. I feel like that's something that we've learned, where it's when you keep your team at the forefront, and going after that versus the money. The thing is, when you're wanting to see your team succeed and accomplish their dreams and promote, the money is going to come, and all of your dreams will come as well when you keep them in the forefront. I love that. Well, thank you for doing that.
Thank you for having me,
Christmas girlfriend.
Thank you. Have a happy New Year.
Yes. Everyone have a good night. Bye.
Bye.